discretion is advised.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the New to Wrestling Podcast After Dark. We have a special one for you today. I'm really excited. This is our first ever podcast, like crossover episode. And let me tell you, I haven't been in a chat room with this many men since my days of yore, girl. And it's bringing me back to my youth. But today we have the most incredible. We have Jason, Johnny, and Chris from the Invasion Angle podcast. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Thanks for coming out, guys.
Sure.
Yeah.
First ever wrestling podcast crossover event, and I'm happy it is the three of you. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
So I think we could start, if you guys would introduce yourselves, if you would consent to introducing yourselves, how you know each other, just to get the lay of the land for the people.
Yeah. So I'm Johnny, and I met both of them in different parts of my life. Jason, I met in a hospital room in '97 and been stuck with him ever since. and then Chris ended up going to the same college we're going to, and we're all doing film school, but mostly talking about wrestling and how those are the real directors we like, and that's the real art,
real storytelling.
Wow.
Yeah,
I met them both separately and then slowly learned that they were related.
Oh wow. No, you're kidding.
Yeah. So we were like friends with him, and then
you had to I had to slowly find out that they were both into wrestling.
Well, I feel like we talk all the time about how wrestling fans, there's a lot of closeted wrestling fans.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you really have to, like, edge your way in. Like, no, this is a safe space.
Yeah, you gotta test the water, yeah.
We can talk about this, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of haters out there, for sure.
A lot of haters.
And in college, me and Chris were doing a radio show. So it was kind of like our first little foray into this kind of medium. And then...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then we kind of... I've always been just kept talking wrestling, and we're always talking. We need to do a podcast because it's our group chat is just basically a wrestling podcast mixed with films and whatever else we're into that week. And so now it's been, I guess that was like December 2023 we kicked it off. And it's cool. I mean, because with pods you got to be able to just keep going, just try to be consistent. And because you see tons of podcasts just kind of fall off after whatever amount of episodes. So it's been cool.
I love that. Because I think I listened to your first episode today, just as a refresher. And it's crazy because I feel like because today specifically, I listened to your first episode and then your most recent one on Spotify that came out, I think, yesterday. We're recording this Tuesday. And it's crazy because I think it's interesting, like, because Xavier and I have been friends for like 15 years. Yeah. And that dynamic is so interesting when it's like friends who come together, because it feels like from the first episode all the way to this one, which is over a year later, it's like the dynamic is still there. Like, it was there from the rip and it like is still there. It's just like, it's not even, I don't even want to say it's like more honed, but it just feels like very comfortable, but in like such a nice way. And I love that.
Yeah. When Chris makes fun of me, I don't feel as bad about it anymore. I'm like,
love
doing
that.
it for a reason.
Baby.
The first time I found out Jason was a wrestling fan was in our what class was that?
Writing for the screen.
No. It was I think it was storytelling.
Oh,
and we were doing an exercise where you had to pick 3 characters that you felt you were most like. And he said 2 people, and then he said Razor Ramon, and I was like,
perfect.
What's going on here?
You're like, wait a minute.
Just slide it in.
And I was like, because he's a bad guy or something like that.
Yeah, and then he saw me wearing a Matt Hardy t-shirt and then confronted me.
Love that.
So,
I said, hey, dude.
He pulled me to the side.
You didn't just
explain yourself, damn it. We're going to be fine.
Yeah.
He's like, I saw you from across the room and loved your vibe. I love that. That's amazing. Especially, I was saying that because I am new to wrestling. I have acquired now wrestling merch and like shirts and stuff like that. And it's funny, I'll wear like a Stone Cold or an Undertaker or whatever, and like most people don't say anything to me, but if I wear like an ECW shirt, then suddenly people are like, hello, like, what are you doing? Because I feel like sometimes like the more I don't, for lack of a better word, like mainstream wrestlers, it's almost like when people wear like a Nirvana shirt or like Leonard Skinner, like most people don't usually clock it or know if it's real. But like when you wear those like kind of different things, people are like, now hold on a second, where did you get that? Like, and I love that. And you just got to like find your people.
Yeah, now they're like vintage is in again. People are wearing just old wrestling shirts. You can't really tell.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
very
and
true.
like, and sorry, here in Philly, we had like they just closed down, but there was the like Suplex Vintage Wrestling. Now they're in Orlando, but during WrestleMania week, like last year, we got to interview the owner there. But like just the how like the focal point of like of just like wrestling that became, because they did like an outdoor show there like that week. It was like bonkers. But like you definitely see like just how much shit they pushed. Because I went in like the week after WrestleMania last year and they were like, we're wiped out. We have
got
nothing.
Yeah,
We have nothing.
yeah.
We have to go source things. We're actually like going on a road trip to like get clothes. So
yeah,
bonkers.
it makes complete sense. Makes complete sense.
Yeah, yeah, that's an awesome store. Yeah, I checked it out for like a minute at Mania week last week and last year. I mean, and yeah, it was cool. It reminded me of the one store Jason will probably remember that's in Queens, New York. They have a similar vibe for sure.
Yes.
I love
Wrestling
that.
Universe.
The wrestling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there it
wrestling
is.
universe.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you, Chris.
I love that. Yeah, I miss Suplex Vintage Wrestling. And you guys, I feel like at least like are you, because it feels like you guys are going to a lot of shows. Like are you like have wrestling will travel? Like you are willing to like travel for shows? Is there like anything that inhibits you from traveling to shows? Like I just feel like you guys are all like the cosmopolitan girls. You're like all over the world with it.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a period where we were like really on a tear, like especially me and John, because I moved back to New Jersey, but like John, we were both living in Georgia.
Oh,
And
okay.
with that, there's like lots of like little like indie like spots, but like
Yeah.
so many different states that were like around us. So we're like, okay, let's go to Tennessee. Let's go to I don't know, South Carolina.
Alabama, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hit both Cadillacs, but yeah, I mean, typically I'm going to still at least going to like one show a month, but yeah, I was on a pretty solid spree where like I don't know, there's really nothing that would really inhibit me. It was kind of because my own page, like before doing the podcast, was just getting like footage, and just like splicing with cool music and just not editing it as far as like throwing any colors or like wild, filters or anything, just like raw, edits with cool music. But yeah, like when CM Punk, I've found out he was going to be at the Raw in Nashville. It's like a 4-hour drive for me, but I don't know, it was like, just a random Monday, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. See you later.
Yeah, I love that. Because I think that you had said your WrestleMania prediction was, you were like, I know that Rollins is going to win, but I can't not pick CM Punk.
Yeah,
Respect.
I always have to do that in predictions. Like, I don't think I'll ever. If I get 100%, it's because I'm not working with my heart, So I'll give that preface of like, yeah, Rollins is probably going to win because that makes the most sense. I called it the Kansas City Shuffle of everyone's looking over here at this whole thing with Roman, Paul, and Seth, and then and CM Punk, and then Seth was just kind of doing his own thing. So, but yeah,
and that's the way it goes.
Yep.
And then something else. Sorry, Xavier, from steamrolling you. I'm just like blah blah blah.
You're good. I come in when the matches.
The matches, yes.
The tea about the minutia of their lives. That's all you.
Yeah. Yes. I'm the one deep diving on the internet for the tea, but something, and I don't know if this is even a question or this is just something like, as someone who is new to wrestling, I'm just generally curious about after listening to episodes of your show, is something that I've noticed that you guys usually are very specific about is the times of the matches. I've never, like, I know when like it's a 60-minute Iron Man match versus like a filler like for 8 minutes, but I feel like you guys are like, what was the runtime on that? 7 minutes 22 seconds. Oh, okay. Like, I am so curious as to how like that factors into your analysis of wrestling, like especially in the context of the show. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if I if I can take this one, guys, I think, a time in wrestling is everything. You know what I mean?
Mm,
It's like the amount of screen time you get is how much time you have to try to connect to the audience. So it's like we're trying to see that. We're trying to see like how much the booker is trusting in them, to like
mm,
be that face for that time, and then also like what they're doing with the time.
yeah, very interesting. I love
Yeah.
that. And then, do we want to get into the matches?
I do, because I'm
Yeah.
also very curious as to like your guys's like background just with wrestling, as far as like
Yeah.
how, because
Oh,
my first
yes.
intro to like wrestling is like my dad is, and if you've met a Puerto Rican ever, they will tell you they're Puerto Rican, they'll talk about it forever. But he would show me these like Carlito's dad, Cologne, like, and Flair matches, like when I was like a little kid. Like those were kind of my first introduction, and then I was I want to say like 5-ish during the Attitude Era, so like I got like very weird like memories of it, and now the show we're like going back and I was like, I remember that completely not as it was. But that was kind of like my intro like to it. But like I'm always very curious as to like how you guys, like, what was your intro to wrestling, like
Mm,
who like put it in front of you for the first time?
I think if because I started watching only for a little bit in like around 2006, 2007, and I think it was my older brother who's banned from the our podcast.
I
Had it
did hear
on
about
because
this.
he's just I don't want to get into it. It just ruffles too many
Yeah,
feathers for
it's
me.
yeah.
But no, we weren't allowed to watch wrestling in my house, so we'd like sneak it in the basement. So we only could watch like bits and pieces of Friday Night SmackDown for a little
Gotcha.
bit.
Mm.
Never saw a pay-per-view because we couldn't buy it ourselves. And then we kind of just fell out of it besides like the video games. And I think all three of us got back into it around the same time in like 2018
Yeah.
Mm.
and then watched consistently since then.
That was a great time to get back into it, because it was like
Yeah.
right before like AEW pops
Hmm.
off and like the independents are even like mentioned like
Yeah.
in that same breath. You know what I mean? Like it was a good
Mm.
time to jump back in,
Yeah.
because before
Yeah.
that it was bleak.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was bleak for a while.
Yeah. Well, I'd say for me, I kind of my dad, our dad, me and Jason, he was into it. He was going to events at Madison Square Garden in the '80s and stuff like that. So he always liked wrestling. So growing up in the '90s, he would kind of he would buy me wrestling toys and stuff like that, and I'd see parts of shows and stuff. But like for me, the real beginning was kind of probably 6 7 years old in the start of the Attitude Era, and I watched it every Monday Night Raw for sure, and would would have to like sneak it, because I did have a TV in my room, so I had to turn the volume pretty low and just sit like right in front of the
Share the
TV.
room.
Yeah. So he probably, and then Ruthless Aggression, I love that, and kept watching, and it's funny because growing up, like I always talk to people about this, like um pro wrestling's a lot like Santa Claus, like when everyone around you kind of like, especially Attitude Era, everyone loved it, my grade, everyone was crazy about it, and then all of a sudden, like they hit like eighth grade, freshman year of high school, and they're just like, oh, wrestling's not real, dude, it's fake. And it's just like,
It's
yeah, I
always
mean,
been fake. Hello?
I'm sorry you ever no, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry you ever believe that, you know what I mean? Do you still celebrate Christmas? Like I'm sorry, so I feel like it's this like psychological thing in these people's heads that like, oh, they effed me over with Santa, now this, so it's
Yeah,
like,
there's a barrier there.
How much more can I
yeah.
take?
Yeah, and it's something that parents aren't gonna like, wouldn't really support, as far as like most people like, want to be a pro wrestler, like, yeah, for sure. No, it's fake. But
Mm.
but yeah, so I ripped
Interesting.
through, loved Ruthless Aggression. Basically kept watching till it was kind of helpful because with Jason, when he really, I'd say Ruthless Aggression was his kind of his era, and it
Well,
kept
yeah,
me going.
I was super into like horror movies when I was young. That was
Mhm.
like my thing. And
Yeah.
ECW got bought by WWE and it was on Sci-Fi. So I was like, okay, like what's going on here? They got some like spooky elements, and then they got me, you know.
Yeah, he was a
But
Punk
yeah,
fan from the start, and I hated Punk actually when he first went to ECW. I'm just like, I
yeah.
don't get it. I don't get it. And I was
Now
just like,
we've kind of switched
we
poles,
switch.
on that
Yeah, we
one.
switch. Now he's not a Punk fan, but I'm all about CM. But yeah, it was, so I took a break for a minute. Like I think me and Jason went to a WrestleMania in 2010, whatever number that was. It was the last. It was
Yeah,
HBK's retirement match.
26.
26, yeah.
Mm.
And then I kept like kind of watching a little bit after that, but I'd say fell out, kind of during the PG era. And then 20 yeah, end of 2017, I started just like seeing wrestling reels pop up again, on my Instagram and stuff. And I was living in California at the time, and I moved back and then started just watching the shows and the pay-per-views again. And then yeah, I feel like everything aligned because all three of us were kind of watching
Mhm.
wrestling at the same time again, and then all started getting super into it. So the stars definitely aligned for sure. And to Jason's point too, it's funny, I was into monsters a lot my whole life too, and that's why early on Undertaker was always my favorite as a little kid, and I would have those toys and stuff. So yeah,
It,
but
like
and here we are now.
like you're saying about the Instagram reels, like that's kind of what brought me back in. But it was like I saw on Snapchat, it was like Shane McMahon's fighting in a steel cage match, and that was like
Mm.
I
Yeah,
I don't know what pay per view that was, but it was the end of 2017. I was like, I was with
yeah,
my friends. I'm like, he's gonna fall off this. We have to watch it.
We
Yeah.
have to see
yeah,
this. Yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's how we got back in.
yeah.
Love
And I
that.
think for all of us too, like even though we'd gone to, my parents probably brought me to like the second wrestling show I ever went to was the Mania with Jason. So like when we got back into it, like when we were going to WrestleCon for WrestleMania 20 in 2019 in East Rutherford, and it was just so weird because we went around and met Christian, Razor Ramon, all these guys from the Attitude Era, and it was so odd because like years later I'm just meeting these guys, and it's just been a cool experience. And just being, I think that's why I've gone to so many shows, because like I'm an adult now, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah,
Like,
he's Santa now.
you
Our
can't
parents
stop
can't
me.
tell us no.
Yeah, you can't stop us. Nice try.
Gave it your all, parents. I was not allowed to watch wrestling either in my youth. My mom thought it was extremely violent, whether it was quote unquote fake or not. Um, I only found out from doing this show that my dad used to watch wrestling. Like it was not even mentioned in our house. Like I knew
Yeah.
nothing about it, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And now we're like at the breakfast table, like, and he'll say something to me, and I'm like, "What? Didn't know that. Didn't know you liked that." So that's crazy. I love that you
Yeah.
guys all got back into it at the same time. And what a great, like Xavier said, what a great time to get back into
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
actually around the same time that Kelsey was getting into it, because she would come over to my house, and
Hmm.
I had that's when like AEW had like just started popping off, and I was like eating that up left, right, and
It
center.
was
So I
so
was
good.
constantly watching like Dynamite and stuff. So she would come over like every Wednesday. I was like, "We're getting pizza. You're gonna learn today."
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and so like basically that's kind of like how it started. And then I was like, there's so much stuff you just don't know, because there's like references that they're
Yeah.
like talking about, and like there's
Yeah.
AEW has all these like stars from somewhere else, and it's like there's so much you don't know, and that's kind of was like, well, now we're really gonna learn today, and that's kind of how the show became what it is.
Yeah.
All right,
I
guys, let's
mean,
get. Ooh,
I
go
was gonna
ahead.
say you literally text me and were like, "Would you be willing to watch like 4 to 8 hours of wrestling every week?" And I was like, "Sure."
Yeah, I was like,
Like, all right.
it's
I'm
Yeah.
like
just that
Yeah.
nosy. I like want to know all the tea. Because when we would watch on
Yeah.
Wednesdays, I'd be like, wait, he did what to that's why they're fighting because he hit his
Mhm.
father.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
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 oh, that's fucked up. Like what and then I'd
Yeah.
be invested. And also it is just we just did an interview with Jared Diaz, and I was saying to him, I was like, because I was like, you're a wrestler, obviously. I was like, do you know that what you do is so insane? Like
Yeah.
to me, it's just not lost on me at this point, like how fucking insane wrestling is. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like a telenovela, a stunt show. And I'm like, I'll say to my mom, I'm like, if it's fake, then like, do you not want me to watch it because it's violent? Because obviously
Mhm.
people are really getting hurt and like people are really doing these stunts. Like to me, it's just the most insane medium of artistry that
Mhm.
Yeah.
exists. Like you were saying, like you're talking about getting into movies and TV and writing and radio. It's like
It's all
all of
happening
those
at once.
insane,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Encompasses
people,
it all. Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
people are using their body as the special effects. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah.
so mind-blowing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, like my doorway into wrestling was AEW, which I feel
Mhm.
like I'm so glad we did an AEW match. I'm psyched.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 That's
Yeah,
great.
Jason
Yeah.
Jason was a sicko, and he had to put me in a wrestling film he wrote for school. So I had to pretend to
Yeah.
be I had to pretend to be a juggalo wrestler,
A
Oh.
which
juggalo
is two
backyard
insane
wrestler.
mediums. Yeah.
Woot woot woot.
And did you thrive? Did you eat up your role, or are the awards
I
I
think
think
pending?
so.
he ate. Yeah.
Yeah.
For my first ever short, yeah, he ate, I
He
think.
got a B
Love that.
plus.
Yeah.
I need to see that eventually one day for sure.
You
Yeah.
got
We
We'll
could
have
we
to
could
send it. Yeah.
yeah, we can rate it. We can do a film review. That'll be my movie of the week to watch.
Yeah.
Um,
All
so
right.
what first match do you want to get into, Xavier? Which one?
I was just gonna go chronologically. So it's gonna be
Yeah.
the Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka. Who picked it?
Who sent it?
I did. I
All
did.
right.
Jason.
Yeah. Love to see
All right.
ECW.
Heck
Why
yeah.
why this one? And then I'll get into some of the crazy spots and things. I mean, I can for the people at home, why? Because if you've seen it, you understand why.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so like I don't know, I got into, the new version of ECW, you know what I mean? Like back in
Mhm.
that era. But
Mm,
like a lot of that hardcore stuff really spoke to me and it like still has.
heck yeah.
And just looking at like the history of like ECW and everything, it's like you can kind of see like how they planted a lot of the seeds for, the Attitude Era. And I think that period
Definitely.
has sowed a lot of seeds for now, even, so. But yeah, I don't know. This is just like a really cool like clashing of styles, like with like
Mm.
Masato Tanaka with like his kind of strong style, like
Oh, he's an
shoot,
absolute tank.
yeah,
Yeah.
just
He
like
is
Tank
no
of a man.
selling things. Yeah,
he's a
insane.
brick shit house.
That's the one.
Yep. Yeah.
He is dense as
And
hell.
yeah, and Mike Awesome's pretty great too. Like I love when like a huge individual can like do some like top rope maneuvers,
Girl.
and
Yeah.
he has some crazy ones there.
We
Oh,
were saying that when we were watching it last night. I was like, this man is literally a sycamore tree doing like backflips and
no
like just the
business doing any of this
crazy
if you really
no
think
business.
about it.
It's like watching when I first watched Vader do a moonsault, I was like, get down from there. Like, what are you doing? I was like,
Yeah.
you're scaring me. Like, it's so
Yeah.
It
crazy,
scared
but
everybody else also.
I love
So,
to see a man move like that. I mean, what's
Yeah.
better?
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, mess. So, oh yeah. So I'm gonna call out some of the like insane spots in this one. He does one there's first of all, Kelsey has a note that says she just loves the sound of the ECW ring.
I
For
did
some
write
reason it
that.
sounds like an absolute gunshot for everything. Just
Yeah.
something so
Yeah.
impressive
I
about
think
it.
Satisfying.
I think it
Um
felt like one too.
oh, I'm
It's
Yeah.
sure.
definitely did. It
Um
definitely did, and I love that.
yeah, Kelsey always brings it up every time they talk about it because there's like this one clip of like Taz
I
explaining like how they put together the ring.
love
And I'm pretty
Taz.
sure Kelsey watched that like on a loop for like a day and a half.
I did. I certainly did. Because again, I say this all the time. Like, I love to hear a man from the Bronx just talk about something they love. Like, just like, all
Yeah.
right, so when you build the ring, you da 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 da, da," and I'm just like, oh, like I love that. Thank you so much for that.
Crazy. The big dive onto like I love ECW's like we're not no mats. We're not even gonna bother.
Yeah.
Concrete.
The
Yeah.
And the power slam that Masato does where he dumps Mike Awesome like basically like high on the top of his like head and neck. I was like, this man's done. Like I thought he was
Yeah.
like that was the end of the match, let alone
You
Yeah.
mean the table spot?
no before this is just
Oh,
in the ring. Like he
before
just
that.
does
Yes.
like a power
Yes.
slam like the last
Yeah.
minute, like and it's just the way Mike Awesome lands on his head, I was like, there's no way. Like
I think I
um
wrote like not sure how Mike Awesome is alive. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know how he is still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um The like little like lightsaber battle with the chairs on the outside of the ring cracks me up.
Yeah.
I eat that
So
up.
goofy, but like so
Oh,
awesome.
it's
You know it
incredible.
hurt. You know your hands were
Well,
hurting.
because they follow it up by like absolutely wrapping the chair like around each other. So it's like
Yeah,
it's like,
and
you know
like
what?
zero putting their hands up
Oh,
like at all,
oh
which
no, it is
is
just grate your teeth and take it.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Oh my
brutal.
God. Those chair
oh.
shots, malicious.
The springboard plancha he does from the top rope over into the crowd,
Yeah, into the
bonkers.
crowd. Yeah.
Loses, they all lose their mind. I have no. I was like, I wish a wrestler would land on me now. Like I want
Girl,
that. Like
I'm
I'm
telling
that
you,
fan. Uh,
I'm like ready to like we
I
were
would have come
at
with props. Like I would have been that fan. I would have been
no,
prepared.
absolutely. I'm trying to have like my beer in a plastic cup like knocked out of my hand and like
Hmm.
me get
Yeah.
sent to court. We were at an independent show not long ago at the Mecca in Ridgefield Park, and the people across from us had like a body land on them, and I was like, golly gee, wish that was me. Like I'm trying
Oh,
to like
I
yeah,
want to be in the show.
yeah.
Damn it.
John has a horror story about that.
Oh
Wasn't a
yeah.
body. It wasn't a
no.
body though.
What
Yeah,
happened?
no, so I was at as I said, I like to check all genres and every wrestling company I can. And one deathmatch wrestling company I liked was ICW, and during Mania week last year they had their like international deathmatch tournament or whatever they called it. And
Mhm.
it was at the H2O arena in what was that, Williamstown, I believe.
So yeah, I think so.
And yeah, so they had, they like to use light tubes for sure. Deathmatch world, it's light tubes are a big thing, and I've seen so many of those matches, been there live front row, and I was kind of out in the crowd, and they were doing the spot where they were hitting the guy was in the corner that was like facing out towards my direction, and he kept picking up light tubes and hitting him, and it would break over the guy's head, but the end of the tube kept smashing on the top of the ring post and shooting out into the crowd over and over. And then he does it one last time, and I took a nice giant shard right to the face and
Jesus.
cut my nose basically in half. And they didn't have an EMS there or anything, which they should have. But so
For
yeah,
the
so
death
I'm just
match, no AMS.
yeah, and this place was filled to the brim because it's Mania weekend and everyone's just trying to go to every event.
Right.
And
It's small too.
yeah, small and
H2O,
sweaty in
yeah.
there. And I'm just like bleeding everywhere. And just like I'm looking around, can like someone I go to the food stand, can you just give me paper towels? They're like, I'm like, great. So I go outside and I have a couple paper towels. And luckily there was this British lady there who was friends with I think like a few of the British deathmatch wrestlers, and she always comes with her little kit because she's an EMS out in the UK. So
Mm.
she had like the glue, surgical glue on her. So she put my nose back together because it went right through in one part. Like
Oh my God.
so I filmed all that too, and then I cut a promo on Danny Demano and for doing that shit to
The
me.
guy.
And
Okay.
That's
yeah,
fierce.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
almost
That
lost my
yeah,
cut my nose to spite my face while I'm shooting a promo on you, girl. Like that's crazy.
yeah, that
yeah,
company did nothing to help him
yeah.
afterwards or during.
Yeah,
Oh,
at least give me a T-shirt or something,
I
damn.
But
Like,
swear.
hit me with the
but
next show. Like, damn.
I'm not even kidding.
yeah,
Shake
Oh,
my hand at least. My
yeah. And then
God.
my favorite wrestler Cruel was like up in a couple matches. I'm like, just get this to close because blood just kept squirting out. And so I go in there, at least watch that match, and I leave. And then yeah, I'm getting ready for NXT Stand Deliver the next morning. I just got like an Airbnb in some haunted house on like in Jersey, right across from Philly. And so I'm just in this spooky house all alone, and like all of a sudden 3 in the morning I wake up because blood is just like squirting out again. And
Jesus.
I'm like, okay, there must be like a hospital around, And I look and it's like, no,
Yeah, he was like,
There
call
must
Voorhees.
me.
be.
Yeah, to go to
He's like, I have
Voorhees.
no service. I'm in like the middle of nowhere right now. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, like, what do you see? And then like I'm like looking on the map. I'm like, I think there's a hospital like at
Oh,
least
jeez.
45 minutes from you.
yeah, because I went to the GCW show that night. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not missing. I got my GCW shirt on now. I was like, I'm not fucking missing that because these guys went into business for themselves and fucked on me. So like, try. I get to the GCW
So
parking
good.
lot and like I walk out and I try to walk in and it starts like bleeding a little bit, and like I think from all the blood I lost, I was like felt like I was gonna puke or pass out. So like I walked in and looked at like the crowd, and I watched like literally 2 minutes, and I just like turned around. I was like, yeah, I gotta leave. I gotta leave.
No, that's
And yeah,
horrible.
yep. And it made me miss NXT Stand and Deliver also the next morning, but I made it to Mania.
There you go.
Oh, thank God.
I
Oh
made it
my
to Mania.
God.
And if
I
you
did
couldn't
it.
tell, he has no hard feelings about it.
And he's not upset at all. He doesn't even care.
Yeah, I did
It's
it for The
water under
Rock.
the bridge.
I did it for The Rock.
I
Yep.
did it for The Rock. And
I did it for The Rock. I did it for
my
the
God.
people.
Well, you literally successfully survived your first death match, like participating in one. So
yeah.
I'm glad to have
It was
known you.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't get
Oh,
any
yeah.
pay like a lot of those guys there, so
Yeah,
he's
hot
getting the
dog.
real experience.
So the
in
real
it.
badass
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
of the scenario.
Free
Yeah,
rhinoplasty though.
yeah. I wear. Yeah, no, right. And me and Jason actually were on a Dynamite episode, or was it Rampage? It might have been Rampage. We because what we always try to do, we go to wrestling shows, especially like arenas, WWE, AEW. Like we're gonna creep our way down. You know, we're gonna go from the top and try to find our way to the front row. And
Respect.
we eventually did, and we're like on the guardrail, and Penta, we saw him getting thrown towards us, and I was like, just hold on, dude, let's take this. And he just like slammed into us, and we looked down, and like because like the rubber floor met exactly where the guardrail was, and like we looked down, it was like 3 or 4 feet back, and yeah, it was cool. We got to have our little appearance on Rampage, so
Love
we love you,
That was
Penta. Cero Mero.
yeah, because we just went to the last AEW pay-per-view that was in Philly, and then they just announced their like residency that they're going to do
Yeah.
at the ECW
Oh,
arena. So we're
amped.
definitely trying to pop over for that. So
That's
Will
gonna
be
be
there.
awesome.
Will be there for sure by hook or crook.
no, honestly. All right, so that one was great. So next we have Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon. All right, who picked this one?
I picked that one, and yeah, this was you
I
know,
love
from
this
the Attitude Era. Yeah, because I feel like it encompasses the Attitude Era so well, and just kind of all wrestling. Like they start out and it's like a technical wrestling match in the ring, and then they start kind of, you know, getting to more, you know, cool, you know, kind of dope moves that that Shane's trying to hit, and Kurt's hitting a lot of suplexes. And then once like Kurt already gets like color early on, which
Oh, yeah.
wasn't a plan.
No.
And then they work their way to the outside, and then it's just, yeah, it's amazing. And that final, you know, it's definitely like perfectly placed 3 acts, you know, and that final act is just amazing. Like once they start walking up that ramp, because there's tons of good spots before that, obviously, but when they start walking up that ramp, and it really starts with Shane's reversal on Angle's like side suplex he's trying to do into just a normal suplex, and that's when Kurt like broke or like fractured his tailbone. So like this was already like the so that makes it crazier, because you know he's got that happening, and then their next spot is trying to get Shane through the glass.
Right.
So like
so
Kurt's
crazy.
first one, he's like, I don't know if I can do it. He's like, his wind was knocked out of him so bad, and like I've hit my tailbone bad like that too, and it's rough. And so that first one, Shane just bounces off and just goes head first in the concrete. Concussion
hear
for
it.
sure, knocked out. Yeah. And Shane said at the time, like, he's like, you know, Mike Chioda came up, and he's like, I can see him talking to me, asking him if I'm fine, but I can't hear anything. Like my ears are ringing, and like, and then he finally gets up and he's like, all right, Kurt, put me through. And Kurt's like, are you sure? And then, you know, he tries the second time, then he goes through. And then once they're through there, once again, he's just like, yeah, put me through again, and then bounces off again. And then Kurt, and one of the most amazing, I think it's one of the most amazing shots in wrestling. The camera shot of like when he goes and throws him through, and then he flies like 8 or 9 feet out through the glass, because WWE is so amazing with their camera work. They cut perfectly, and you just see Shane just get thrown through and fall out, you know, like he was shot out of a cannon. And it's pretty funny because that was supposed to be sugar glass, and they mistakenly ordered plexiglass, and that's why you see that bend and he bounces off. And so it's kind of real glass, not the real glass that Jungle Jack was talking about,
Right.
It was, but yeah, so that was the issue, and that's why I see it bend so much. So like they for sure f that up, but and then just the ending is just and like that's why he had to literally cart Shane down because Shane was literally just like shot, and he needed something to hold him up too. Kurt, as like they bring him down to the ring, and then they do that corner spot to end the match, and it was great because Kurt's such a it's so smart because he was like there's no way because originally he's supposed to do an angle slam with his feet on the ropes,
Right.
and he's like there's no way I'm going to be able to do that. Both of us are dead right now, and so that's where he picks up that piece of wood and starts just beating him with it so then he could set it up, and yeah, then he hits that, and it was perfect. It's just like every single part of that match is and then just all the behind the scenes stuff like like Shane doing that because he wants to finally get admiration from his dad. He wants to get admirations from the wrestlers and the fans that he really can
Mm-hmm.
put on a clinic when he goes out there, and he's more
Mm-hmm.
than just jumping off 60 feet things or cages. He can do a little bit of everything. So it was amazing. And also a little Easter egg there is you can see Mike Chioda really quick when he's about to do the angle slam off there. The wood is about to fall off the one rope, and he gets
Oh
his
yeah,
hand up just in
yeah.
time. Yeah, and like probably saved them horrific injuries because that would have been rough. They probably both would have went head first. And yeah. So I don't know. That's just that match is just it has everything you could want, and then some more, and you just feel the human element so much because it's like
Mm.
there's nothing fake about you don't even know their injuries or anything, but you just know like you're watching them slam on concrete, and like I think that match was like 29-30 minutes or something
Yeah.
like that, and it's a marathon match, and like it was just so fast too, just like move after move and just like high spots and weapons and Shane O'Mac hitting a shooting star press,
Crazy.
like you know,
The
I didn't
fuck.
have that on my bingo card in 2001.
No, absolutely not. No, I actually mentioned like earlier because we were talking about this. I was like, I forgot how long this match is because I also like,
Yeah,
I have been like purposefully steering clear of like the Attitude Era stuff as we kind of like make our way like through for the most part. So I like haven't seen this stuff in like forever.
yeah,
But it was one really, I don't think Shane ever gets enough credit for how like the matches he has put on because
Mm.
he does not do this all of the time. Like this is not
yeah,
his like bread and butter, and
His
just to like
gig.
every like so often just come back and the quality consistently that he does, I don't think he gets enough credit for. And then when you touched on the like the approval from Vince thing, because we did an episode on the Vince documentary also, and
yeah,
you really kind of see it like laid out there where you're like, Broseph, you are almost 50. It is
Yeah.
time. It
To
is time.
release.
yeah,
So,
Yeah, I was
John
gonna say
saw
that.
the spectacular last match.
what's up?
Yeah.
John saw the spectacular last match for
yeah,
Shane live.
Mm.
yeah. That
Whoa.
that was just the pinnacle of a weekend where my nose is falling off. Or, actually,
No,
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 that was
that wasn't that week.
oh, sorry,
That
that
was the
was
year. Yeah.
oh, that was in LA when I got COVID during Mania, but I fought through.
Oh God.
Oh my
He
God.
he tore his ACL on like the second move of
Yeah.
the match.
No, yeah, I have a video of that, and I think it's got like well over 1 million on like TikTok, and it's just me screaming, no, why? How could you, how could you do this to me? So
Oh my God.
I know.
Wait, so that plywood part was improvised.
Yeah, because like he with Kurt's tailbone and with Shane being mostly dead weight because he doesn't know what planet he's on. Like
He's dead,
Kurt's
yeah.
just like yeah, Kurt just fast thinking on the way down the ring, just thought of that to walking the ramp down, saw it, and just like yeah, that'll work. I hope.
That is crazy. Because
you
this
know.
was the first time I'd ever seen Kurt Angle wrestle. Because
Mhm.
again,
He
new
Oh,
hasn't
okay.
wrestling.
debuted yet. We
Yeah,
are in
yeah,
like the early
Yeah.
part of '98 right now, so we haven't gotten to Kurt just yet.
yeah,
So I mean, insane to see him wrestle at all. Like, and I had seen like bits and pieces of this match because we watched the documentary, and like
yeah.
I've seen the glass throwing incident. And I forgot that it was plexiglass, which is I didn't even know you could break plexiglass. Like
No, neither did I.
that's insane. And it's funny because you mentioned that shot where he comes through like the second time, and because you first see it through the back, and I was like, God,
Yeah.
I hope they have that through the front. That's crazy. And then
And
you're
it's
just
like
like,
immediate cut.
oh, it's so
Yeah.
insane. But the part where I always get people who don't watch wrestling, where I'm like, no, you guys don't understand. Like, a lot of it is improvised, and people are always like, what? And I'm like, no, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, because that to me is one of the craziest things. It's like, not only are they like putting their bodies on the line, doing the most insane stunts, whatever, a lot of it is just like in the moment, like based on the
Yeah.
chemistry you have with somebody. Like, obviously, there's certain points, like the acts that people hit, but I'm like, the part that really gets people like, wait, what is, I'm like, no, a lot of it is improvised. Like, that is crazy.
Yeah.
I did not know that about the Wood.
Yeah.
Insane.
And that's why I think it should be like wrestling could easily be rated and be an Olympic sport just based off of like figure skating or something like that, where it's two
Oh,
people. And I mean,
yeah.
there's the star rating system, and there's certain
It's
things that have
hard
to be
though.
done. The moves have to be clean, but yeah, the world
That's where
one
the
day
art
they'll
form
respect
comes
us.
in though. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
can you judge a painting? Can you
Mm.
can
Well,
you tell
I
me what song's better
What
than
is
another
art?
song?
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
doubles. Ice skating. I feel like it's two people that have to together create, and it's always artistic. I mean, they
Yeah.
basically dress, in wild costumes like wrestlers do, and they're trying to hit their moves, and they got
True.
whatever wild song they throw little dances in, which is art. The dance moves aren't like it's just a part of the routine, and they want to see A, B, and C.
So you
And I guess
telling me if figure skating had a storyline, you would start watching it with me, or
I never
Mm.
said I never said I don't watch it, dude. So
He
how dare
loves
you?
Gauntlet.
he loves Blaze Glory.
Yeah,
Well,
that
yes,
is a good movie?
yes, I
who
do.
who
Yes, I
doesn't?
do. Yeah, huge Tanya Harding fan over
If you
here.
can dream it, you can do it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
great.
She was basically a wrestler. She took a lead pipe to someone backstage. Like, I
Yes.
don't know.
I
How is that not wrestling? You know what I
I'm pretty
mean?
sure that is already a storyline. Didn't Edge do that to like the
Yeah,
party, like down some stairs? I don't know.
yeah,
there's something
exactly.
there.
They
There's
stole
definitely a
they stole
correlation.
that. Yeah,
Everything is wrestling.
No,
Yeah.
honestly.
all of it.
I'm so quickly learning. Everything is wrestling.
All right, so the last one we got Pac and Orange Cassidy at Revolution 2020, and thank God for that
Oh, the
HBO deal.
best.
So
Yeah.
because otherwise we'd have to do some digging. So this is great. We are already big fans of Orange Cassidy, so this was
I love
a
that
fun
guy.
one. So
Yeah.
yeah, so why this one?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to any sort of like medium, with it's like whether it's TV, movies, or wrestling, I want to see something comedic. I want to laugh. And this is
Mm.
like the perfect blend of it being funny and also when it's funny, they're playing it straight, which it's kind of like Always Sunny does that, or The Righteous Gemstones. Like they're doing ridiculous
Mm.
things, but no one's breaking the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the easiest ways to get people into wrestling is make it funny. So I think that was like the perfect match that Compass saw that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this because I do love like the drama. Like, I love
Mhm.
like the stakes are so high and everything is so elevated, but this type of match, like where it's like camp and it's funny and it's
Mhm.
because it's like you said, like if it's an Always Sunny or like an Arrested Development or like
Mhm.
whatever, it just makes you giggle. And then but you're
Yeah.
also so invested in like the outcome of it because like you're not only like waiting for your next laugh, you're waiting for the next move. You want to know what happened. Like it's
Yeah.
just so, and I feel like Orange Cassidy, I think it's interesting in AEW, and again, new to wrestling, I love to be wrong. So this could be totally wrong. But I feel like in AEW, it's like there's this like thing in wrestling now where most people are just like it's names. It's like the I am the character. It's not
Mhm.
like harkening back to before the Attitude Era where it's like plumbers and clowns and whatever.
Mhm.
But in AEW there is this kind of fun pocket of like a Toni Storm or an Orange Cassidy where it's
Yeah.
like they are a person but they are that kind of, there is a character they get
Mhm.
to lean into. I feel like that's more present in AEW, and I like that actually. And I think
Mhm.
that is what adhered me to AEW when I first started watching, because I was like, what are they doing over here? Like, this is so fun. Like, I just think it's interesting.
Yeah, it's great. Go ahead.
I was gonna say like even like where they placed the match on the card was perfect. They put it like right before the main event.
Mhm.
They said whatever five
Mm.
or six just straight wrestling matches, and then all right, something to calm the crowd down, just have a fun time. right before
Yeah.
like the big match.
It's kind of like, and not to be like derivative about it, but it's like kind of like rodeo clowns. Like, you know, when you have
Mhm.
that like fun thing
Yeah.
before like the bull riding and like people
Mhm.
might get gored and like whatever. It's just,
And-
it's so like there is an incredible skill to it,
Mhm.
to do something that seems so serious and make it so
Yeah.
funny. I
No,
love it.
that's where wrestling's from. It's just the carnival,
Yeah, so
but
true.
it all loops back.
And I
Everything is
love
wrestling.
like
Mhm.
JR's kind of role in this because this is like JR's
Yeah.
first exposure
Yeah.
to Orange Cassidy. So I think he does a really good job of being like, okay, like if you don't know this man, you're going to be skeptical. Like I think he does a good job of like playing the like skeptical, like, all right, like I'll let you do your thing, but I don't know if I trust it. Which can be taken as him, aging. But
Yeah.
I think it does a service to Orange Cassidy because it's
Mhm.
like, oh hey, like that's you're meeting the fans where they are. So now it's on like this match to change people's opinions
Yeah.
like throughout it, which is exactly kind of was the game plan. Was to kind of put Orange on a platform that's like, hey, like yes, I'll make you laugh, but I'm going to go
Mhm.
out there and put in the work,
Yeah.
which
A
I
lot of
think
the
is great, which set up
yeah.
Orange for a lot of his
Mhm.
like the next year after that.
Yeah, a lot of the wrestlers felt the same way. I know like Chris Jericho was confused on why they signed him at first. And then he saw
Mm.
him wrestling, he's like, all right, I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was his like Jericho's was Orange's like first big
Yeah.
like kind of feud.
Yeah, I love Orange Cassidy too because the way that he set up his character, I feel like because he's so like nonchalant. And so then when he is chalant, it's like so
Yeah.
explosive because he's so like whatever. And then when he does like just let it rip, it feels almost like the saturation gets turned up. Like it's so intense because he's so like
Blah.
whatever. So then when he clocks in, he's like clocked the fucking.
Mhm.
Like it's crazy. I love to watch him wrestle.
Yeah, the
um,
payoff's amazing with him with that.
Absolutely. And do you like typically find yourself more in like the AEW like wheelhouse or like
Yeah.
okay, like
100%. Yeah.
gotcha. And is it
Well,
more like the because of the like the in-ringness of it, or is it like just you didn't have the exposure before to
I
WWE per se?
so with WWE, I got into it, like I said, 2018,
Mhm.
and me and my two friends watched it consistently for about 6 to 8 months, and then we were like, I'm done here. And then
Fair.
we took a break. We watched the Indies for a while, and then AW started, and we just went full on the AW. And then I'll go occasionally watch the WWE pay-per-view. So I'm almost
Mm.
purely watching AW or the Indies.
I
Yeah, because
mean,
I
a good perspective like for the show. I
Yeah,
was curious as to like
yeah.
what you're mainly like
Mhm.
intaking.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I feel like you had mentioned this in the WrestleMania Hangover episode because you're like, I don't really tap into WWE, so it was like, XYZ.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, I was like, I bet he sent the AW match.
Yeah.
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 But this match is awesome. I said, I wrote like people screaming, this is awesome, and they had barely done anything yet. It was like within the first
Mhm.
Yeah.
like 2 minutes, people, and I was like, because it is, like, and we haven't
Yeah.
even begun. It's so good.
Yeah, it was nice because before I got to see Orange Cassidy before AW started. So I was very happy when I
Oh,
saw he got signed. I
oh,
think I
that's
saw him
awesome.
wrestling during WrestleMania season of 2019. So it was like right before they got TV. I think I saw him at I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it was TNA. I think it was a different indie company. They just ran the same venue. I think it was called
Mm.
Wrestle Pro. So I got to see him
Yeah.
live and I was like, I'm all in on this
Was
guy.
I there, dude?
Um,
No.
I don't think so.
Um,
It was Orange Cassidy versus
Wasn't invited, whatever.
yeah.
I don't know who it was. I don't know.
Um,
I
that
think
was,
it was a canceled wrestler.
yeah.
I think it was Joey
Happens.
Ryan.
Was it Joey Ryan? Yeah.
Either Joey Ryan or
Canceled.
Tessa Blanchard. Either way, they both suck. So I don't know. So
Uh, but that's what's cool about the indies is like you'll see these pro wrestlers before they hit it big, and when they do hit it big, it's like you were with them on that journey. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
when
it's
when
so
you when you see
true.
them enter AEW or WWE, you're just like it's amazing. Like, oh, like I met that dude like a couple years ago, and there was 20 people there, and
Yeah.
it's really cool. And that's, I think, the indies, like, people really need to check it out because it's, future stars, and you got to find the right indie company for sure, because you can go to the wrong indie show and get super turned off by the
Support
indies for
your local
sure.
indie stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unless they're
Yes
not
and no.
doing good business practices. Okay, Chris.
Indie
Yeah.
around me, I don't support. Let's just say they suck.
Chris
Say
lives in
got
Tom's
a
River.
Orange Cassidy signed.
Oh my
Nice.
God.
Yep.
Were you there, John, too, that time?
Was that Real Rumble?
I don't think
It
he
was
was
the
at that
first real
one.
Rumble. Yeah.
Yeah, I got an 8x10 signed by him. We had to wear masks and stuff.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
COVID era.
Nick was
Yeah.
at that
I
one.
Yeah.
don't know if you guys know the indie company. It's Lehigh Valley Wrestling.
Yeah, I know of
Yeah.
it.
So they run a show in Lehigh, Pennsylvania, at the Mahoney Drive-In every year. So we went. I think it was 2021 Real Rumble, and Orange Cassidy was there. So I got something signed by him, and it was right before his match with Kenny Omega and Pac at Double or Nothing 21.
Wow.
So it
That's
was cool.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
so
and Bryce
cool.
Remsburg was there, the
And
ref.
Bryce, yeah.
Also.
And
Yeah.
Alf.
I
Boo.
got to take the picture, so I got to meet
He did,
Orange
yeah.
Cassidy. I was like,
Yeah.
I only bought enough for a
A
corn dog.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, great. I'm so happy Bryce was there.
Oh, you
He's a
got beef
Bryce
with
hater.
Bryce?
John has
I'm
heat with Bryce.
I have heat with like the majority of referees. That's who I get heat with.
That's, that's fair.
Wow.
I let myself kayfabe at, kayfabe heat with all the refs. I'm just
I got John
tired
Bryce.
of all of them.
I got John a Bryce cameo for his birthday. So
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that.
You every now and again just pull it out and watch it, sigh a little bit.
Yeah. I made a short vid with it because like I posted that, and then something from like our pod of talking about it, and then at what pay-per-view was that in North Carolina, Jason? It was that
Revolution.
Revolution,
That
yeah.
was, what, Sting? Sting's
Yeah,
father?
and
Sting's
Bryce,
retirement.
so yeah, I screamed at Bryce during that. And we were just like, I was like, who's this guy just talking shit about the referees the whole time? But it's like a sport, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Bryce always just happens to be looking the other way. Like he is fucked up so many times and ruined so many matches for me. I'm tired of it.
I love you,
Wow.
Bryce. It's fun.
I love you, Bryce.
I love that. I love to be on the ground floor of the beef. I love to know.
Yeah.
She really does.
Yeah.
I wish that was an exaggeration at any point. Like Kelsey often describes I love like other people's problems.
I don't want to actually beef with anybody. I love to be adjacent to the beef and be like, no.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's like when I go to like when I go to the rock show, I don't want to be like in the mosh pit. I want to be like right behind it or
Yeah.
right in front of it because
Yeah.
the crowd has cleared, so and I can see the band the way I want to see the band.
Yeah.
So,
And he's like such a sweetheart too, so he makes it so hard. But I think he's just patronizing me. I don't believe it. There's an evil.
it's all
there's
the work.
Yeah.
It's all work.
There's a
dude.
sinister undertone there.
It was
Yeah.
great because the cameo he first sent, he was backstage at Dynamite in his ref gear,
Which is
and he's-
cool.
yeah, which is cool. And then he sent it over, but it had no audio.
Oh
Because he was
no.
fucking on me. He fucked
Yeah.
on me. And then
He had to-
and then
he
he
had to
knows I was
redo it.
pissed about that. And then the next video, it's like him at his kitchen table with his little kid. I'm like, oh yeah, how am I supposed to talk shit about that or be mad? With this like cute little video. Like, how dare you, Bryce? I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
The child
You know,
shield. I hate when they
yeah.
do that.
And don't even get me started.
Well,
Don't get me
that's-
started on Aubrey. Don't even get me started on her.
Elon
That's
Elon
the whole
Musk
podcast.
Elon Musk learned it from Bryce Remsburg.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly, dude.
Oh my
He's
god.
Karen- Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
So sinister. Chilled just went
Yeah.
on my spine.
Tired of using
my
kids as
God.
shields, dude. I'm over it.
That's crazy because we always talk about how we would love to have a ref on the show because I'm always like fascinated by
Tell me
refs
all your
because
secrets.
yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
I want the tea because I think it was Earl Hebner said like you actually are thinking for three people, like you're thinking for you,
Yeah.
you're thinking for both of them, and depending on how many people are in the match.
Mhm.
So I was like, I'd always love to like pick a ref's brain And I like now I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love this concept of like the body cam they got going on. We're still very early days on that because it looks like shit.
Yeah, it
But,
does.
but the concept, I'm like, I'm curious. I want to know. Like, I
Yeah.
think that I'd watch a match from that perspective, like at
It'd
some
be like
point.
Cloverfield. I
But
feel like I would barf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Bonkers.
my God. Wait, what else? I feel like we glossed like right over this match
Oh, you
also,
wanted
and it
to
was
ask
so
about
good.
Paul Heyman and why
Yeah, we have to talk about this. Why do we hate Paul Heyman? Go
Do
ahead.
we hate
Oh,
Paul Heyman?
it was me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
I'm
was
was
sick.
Like
him.
somebody, I was like, somebody said it. And we need to clear the air.
Yeah.
I'm just sick of Paul Heyman. I don't know. It's just like he's always in the middle of all these main
Mm.
storylines. I'm like, I don't care about this fat idiot.
Yeah.
And it is funny because you sent the only match that does not have Paul Heyman influence in it because the
There you go.
ECW
Yeah.
match, obviously, and
Mhm.
then he's on
Oh wow.
commentary for the Kurt Angle match.
Yeah.
I got my eyes on Paul Heyman, girl. Because I am fascinated by him as just a person. Like, it's because
Mhm.
we watched like the ECW documentary, like we did the whole thing, and I was like, Paul Heyman is just crazy, like the shoots that he does, like whatever. But I also don't know him in the context of like modernity, like other than him being with like the
Yeah.
tribal chief, him like I really don't know much about him in this day and age, other than like we watched obviously WrestleMania 40, his Hall of Fame acceptance speech.
Mhm.
Like we did stuff like that. But to me, like at this time, again, like ECW, like Paul Heyman to me is just like a genius. And again, if we're talking
Yeah.
about like cherry picking from ECW, like he was a huge, obviously part of that. But I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't know we had Paul Heyman haters,
Yep.
except I definitely did. I was like, a lot of people be like, girl, what? Like,
Well, I mean, he's got a history, but
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
don't we all? I don't know.
I don't know.
He didn't
Yeah.
like paying people that much,
Yeah.
but
right.
That's true. Very
have
true.
you
But
have you guys
name a business owner that does.
That's
I'll
true.
wait.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys reached the point where like in your WWE journey where ECW's doing crossovers on Raw and stuff and they'll bring Paul on the announce table and they
Yeah.
did like the
So
whole Jerry Lawler angle and stuff and
Yes. Yeah, we
yes,
did that.
yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, because that's like popped in and out of like the like 97, like happened here and
Yeah.
there. And then we what I want to do now is get on the like the flips, the ECW side where Jerry actually goes over there and show her that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because you get a lot of the like setup over on Raw, but the payoff is on ECW because that's
Mhm.
was the deal.
Oh, so true.
But
Yeah.
yeah. But oh yeah, that's definitely like stuff I need to show her next.
Yeah.
But
Wait, my other question is I haven't listened to it, but why is Tommy Dreamer's podcast terrible?
Okay, well, so
we're talking about Busted Open.
That's what you said, right? Is that
Right.
his with Sandman, right?
I think it's him and
no,
Bubba, right? Or
no,
they have
no.
a separate
Oh,
podcast too.
Bubba Ray.
Bubba Ray.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I think I like Tommy Dreamer. Chris doesn't like Tommy Dreamer.
He's
Work.
fine. No, I don't dislike
He's
Tommy Dreamer.
fine.
There was just like
Oh, okay.
there was just like a period where every indie show I went to, like I saw one indie show, he was there, and like two times in a row, some guy couldn't make it, and they're like, "Guess who's here? It's Tommy Dreamer," and I'm like, I don't care.
I thought you would like him because, you hate Paul Heyman and he went to literally go murder Paul Heyman. I don't know
It's
if you guys
true.
know that story, but
Yikes.
yeah. And then he literally told Paul about it and they did some like SmackDown Talk Live after where they like talked it out about like, yeah, I was gonna murder you, dude, and they both like cry and hug. I'm just like, I don't know if this was like the place you talk about that, but
no,
Oh
yeah.
my.
all right,
It is for
all right,
wrestlers, dude.
but all right,
Talk
for
about it in
sure,
mediation.
That could be a promo.
yeah, right, yeah. Let's
Uh,
make it a promo. The time I planned on murdering you, but
I think
that's
we
ECW.
I think we mostly have an issue with like Bubba Ray and how like opinionated and critical he is of certain things. You know what
oh
I
yeah,
mean?
I definitely see that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It it feels at times very much like a on my day, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you're obviously going to be partial to the things you worked in and made your living in and blah blah
Yeah.
Yeah.
blah.
And Jason got tortured by Busted Open when he was trying to sleep one night.
Oh God.
Yeah.
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 Me and John have a good friend that is a he's a
He's
wrestler.
made an
His name's
appearance in
Nasty
AEW.
Leroy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we would go to some shows with Leroy, and he needs to have Busted Open podcast playing all night long.
Or he can't
So
sleep.
we would go over, I would creep over and try to press pause or just like lower the volume. And he'd be like, huh? Turn it back up.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare.
Not the dulcet tones of Bubba, like putting you to
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and I don't mean to go here either, but it's called Busted Open, and their like emblem, kind of looks like semen. I don't get it. Like you get it. So for me, they're just a bunch of perverts, but
Yeah, true.
because
Busted, yeah.
I see right through that shit, Bubba. All right, but
That's crazy.
but yeah, look at the emblem. You're just not gonna. It's like when you first like someone tells you there's an arrow in the FedEx sign, you're just like, oh
You can't,
shit,
yeah.
my whole
You can't
fucking life
unsee
has changed. Yeah.
it.
So how dare you, Bubba? Keep your perversions to yourself, okay?
Oh my God. Sinister
That's
motives all around.
Yeah.
He's
So
kind of the Alex
sinister.
Jones of wrestling.
He just looks like him. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, hey,
that's a
look, dude.
good meta like correlation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, our
Well, I
fan
mean,
then-
I
base.
liked Alex Jones in the 90s. He was kind of cool then.
yeah.
And then and then and
From,
then.
Well,
from
that's
that,
a
yeah.
lot of like the show is us like watching things, and then I'm like, don't be too complimentary.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Just wait. I know.
This Ben,
Yeah.
This Hulk
this-
Hogan guy is
yeah.
really cool.
Oh no,
Benoit
we
guy.
knew about that one.
Yeah, Benoit. Wow.
no.
Benoit can wrestle.
Well,
like a
it's
nice
funny.
guy.
Xavier put me up on the Chris Benoit lore like immediately. He was
Oh
like,
yeah,
"If you're
we
coming
went.
in here, you have to
I
know
was
about
like,
this right away." And I was like,
yeah.
Yeah.
"Okay." But it's funny in like the very first episodes because this was 2 years ago, and I knew nothing about Vince McMahon, and I was like, "Vince McMahon on commentary is pretty good." Like that, and Xavier would be like, "Yep."
I was like, I don't want to ruin it for you.
I know, and then it was
But then I
like,
was like, wait till anybody else on commentary comes on, and then
"Oh,
you'll
girl, yeah,
understand that what a maneuver
truly."
is not
Yeah.
commentary.
What's the maneuver? Swear. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
just
What
here
a
comes the
maneuver.
hurricane bitch, the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, to
Yeah.
cap off the Busted Open things, like my favorite ECW podcast is a Ravens podcast. So because
Yeah,
he,
he's the Raven
the
Mark
whole
for sure.
his whole podcast is his two co-hosts trying to talk about wrestling and Raven telling them to stop, and then just nonsense. They just ramble about nothing for about 60 minutes and then go away.
That's kind of
Love
the role
that.
Chris plays on our pod.
Yeah.
So really, just taking in inspiration.
I
Yeah.
love that. Wait,
Yeah,
also I
what-
had
what
another
about
question
Raven?
to like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said, what about Raven?
I'm sorry.
No, that's it.
Good.
I
Just
was
a
gonna
little catchphrase.
say, I had another question because you guys really do seem to cover a lot. Like you guys cover a lot of wrestling, and I'm curious if you guys have dipped into Evolve because we were dipping into Evolve, and I, like I said, listened to your most recent episode, and I feel like you talked about like who was let go of certain companies recently, and I know a few of those
Yeah.
people were in Evolve, but have you guys like sampled the merchandise, thoughts, feelings?
I saw the
watched,
new titles
like-
they made.
Yeah,
Right?
I've seen
Like-
one match. I gotta be
Yeah,
honest.
I saw
it was
some clips
good.
of where they have the new titles and everything. But yeah, it's something I definitely want to check out more.
Yeah, I like
Good.
Jack Cartwheel a lot.
Love that
It's a
guy.
good time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
so far has not been too successful just yet, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
but no, yeah, we're enjoying it a lot. I think it's fun like going out and like indie shows and then like seeing them pop up and
Mhm.
evolve and you're like, oh, okay. And it
Yeah.
does like make sense because NXT, like since it is its own, like it has its own like it's on
Mhm.
TV, but it no longer can really be like as developmental like as it once was, you know?
Yeah.
Because you do have to have some polish if you're going to be on a network every week.
Yeah.
So, um, Yeah, I mean, I feel like they kind of had to do something. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm enjoying it so far. Me and Kelsey talked about it. It does feel very much like an indie show with a budget. Is
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah,
how it
Yeah.
plays out.
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. I definitely want to check it out. Because yeah, I say I probably have the most psycho wrestling schedule of the pod because I do watch all of WWE, including NXT, and yeah, I'll probably add it on for sure.
Mm. I think
Yeah.
for me, it was just because like I'm coming in at like we're watching the Attitude Era and like I'm not there's so much to intake. It's
Yeah,
cool to come in at the ground floor of something like where I didn't expect that would ever happen for me. Like I could just like come
yeah,
in right at the beginning of something because like
yeah,
there's so much lore even for AEW at this point, even though it's
Yeah,
newer.
we're 5 years in now, so
So,
Yeah.
like, it's cool to see people from like the very beginning of something in terms of wrestling. So
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
why the was the appeal for me, like very personally. It was just like, oh,
yeah,
cool, like, to see it from the
I
rip.
think that's why we got like super into AEW like in the beginning because
mhm.
like they
yeah,
did like their like little announcement when they first like announced it happened and we were all in school together and we were like, dude, this is gonna be
yeah,
something crazy. It's like they only had Jericho and like a
Mhm.
couple other people, but
Janela.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, we're big Joey fans, but yeah, and also at that time too, WWE was getting so stale. It was just like Baron Corbin versus Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, like every single week, and it was
Right.
just like Vince was just like, I don't know what he was doing anymore. I don't think he knew. But so it came at a perfect time, and
Mhm.
as someone that's an Attitude Era fan, like AEW, a lot of their wrestlers are Attitude Era fans. The Jacksons, Omega, all of them. So like a lot of that stuff they do, hardcore match and stuff like that, is like very Attitude Era esque, and like the backstage promos and kind of everything else they do. So like that drew me in right away, and then I started really getting more into the art of the move sets, which Jericho hates, but I don't know what else to call it. Sorry, Jericho. And just seeing, and it really brought me, connect me with NJPW and Japanese wrestling, and then got
Mm.
me more connected into lucha. So it got me watching that stuff, and then seeing those styles all form with American indies. It's amazing. It's literally just AEW has its own form in ring, that
Mhm.
you really can't see anywhere else, and that's why it's funny when the AEW wrestler goes to WWE, and the Pentas of the world, or even Cody for some, like they'll do a move that they've never seen before. That's just like another Wednesday night or collision, and the
Right.
whole crowd's like,
Mm.
oh my gosh, Mexican Destroyer, like on the side apron, or like, and they're just blown away, and it's just like so funny because it's just like maybe watch AEW then, guys, because I
Yeah,
don't.
girl, we've been doing this.
There's that,
that's
you
probably
know,
how ECW fans felt in the
Yeah.
90s when they're like
True.
watching,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
WCW and WWF.
Yeah. One of
yeah,
my
and
biggest turnoffs when I was watching WWE was how many matches just ended in a DQ every night.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
And
yes.
AEW just rarely does that, and I like that a lot.
I love
yeah.
that. I complain about that all the time. I'm like, well, could my boy Undertaker get one clean match? Like
Yeah.
just
Just
one?
one.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
can my good friend and brother Undertaker get one? But I like it is so true. I do get so frustrated about it. Sometimes I'm like, and another like flip the
Mhm.
table, like please just let this man get a pinfall or
yeah,
anybody for that matter.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah, I
It's,
could totally see that.
yeah, it can be. It's just lazy storytelling sometimes, and then also you'll get two guys that are like don't want to put the other guy over, and like, all right, we'll just do a DQ finish for sure. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm enjoying like AEW very like recently. I feel like they're kind of like I think I want to say like 2024. I feel like they kind of like took like a
Yeah.
knocking as far as like WWE kind of like getting their feet back under them.
yeah,
Where now I feel like they're kind of like settling into like what AEW is gonna look like for the next like couple years.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of enjoying it a lot because it's like, oh, like when you like think about it, it's like you got like your Ospreys, your Baileys, like those are people that are going to be around for a minute, and they really like this style. So it's like I'm excited for like them AEW kind of feeling like they're I don't know, not on like the defensive so much. As I
Mhm.
felt like they kind of were in 2024. At least that's how I felt like they were
Mm.
reacting
Uh,
to things that were happening like in the wrestling world. Um,
yeah.
so I don't know. I'm excited. I think it's cool, and I think
Uh,
like people make too much about like wrestlers going back and forth. Like just
Yeah.
like it's gonna
yeah.
happen. It happens
Yeah.
all throughout the 90s. It's what do you? They have places to work. Ah,
Yeah.
why are we
Yeah.
mad?
Yeah, I know.
Fair.
It's like I love it because then like because I love WWE and AEW. You know, I'm
Yeah.
a 50-50 guy, and like it's just great because then I get dream matches like NXT. So you know, is just all these AEW guys coming in. I loved Ethan Page.
Mhm.
Loved Brian Pillman Jr., aka Lexus King, and then Sean Spears, whatever. But
Come on,
he's
man.
He's
10.
fine.
Sorry,
He's
we'll do
fine.
10s. 10s. He's a part of our rapid fire. Usually we do the 10s for him, and
Mm.
but yeah, but it's awesome. When Cody came over and you see him versus Seth, it was just like I feel like I shouldn't be allowed to watch this. This is like I didn't see, like so it's amazing, and I love Penta, so seeing him over there and do these matches that I felt like would never happen almost, so it's awesome. And then obviously the reverse when you have anyone going from WWE AEW, like when Moxley first went over, like that was insane, like and obviously when Punk came back too, but like yeah, it's awesome. And I wish people would, kind of just enjoy both sides because I would say obviously in ring, fantastic for AEW. That's their high point. And WWE, they've been doing fantastic storytelling. That's longer programs. Like my biggest issue at AEW, I feel like they got their juices back and they're pushing like just not having long programs and feuds between people. It's just kind of, and then they kind of just sizzle out and you're just like, wait, like what happened? Like
Right.
what
Mm.
like I'm supposed to forget about this, and that's why I think Toni Storm, Mariah May last year, that's one of one of the best feud buildups and storylines, all going all the way into this spring, and it was fantastic, and I think that was a huge part, like Toni Storm, huge part of kind of giving AEW that energy back and kind of reviving things a bit, and because if you look at ratings where they shot up last summer, and that was during Brian Danielson's kind of push, and then all of a sudden the second he left, and after that you watch them drop like about 50 to 100,000 like right away. So like they needed someone to kind of take the reins over, and yeah, Toni Storm did it, and just she's one of the best wrestlers in the world to me,
She's the
male,
best.
female, just hits everything amazing in ring and just awesome matches and just the best character that's her right now.
Oh
Yeah.
my
It's
God.
she's in that
Fair.
Macho Man realm, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
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 it's just so next level. It's amazing.
Because
Yeah.
people
We were
don't like commit like that anymore.
Yeah.
Like to the, you know
right.
what I
Yeah.
mean? We love to commit to
Yeah.
the bit. So like if
Love.
someone's really
Yeah.
going for it, like
Yeah.
nowadays it's like that's special because it's like everybody like has kind of like thrown their hands up as far as like, yeah, everybody knows. So it's like, man, but it is fun when someone's like, I know you know. I don't care.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
completely.
I'm just gonna just do this anyway. So go
And
ahead.
we when we watched her, I was like, what's so interesting about her character is that when you initially see it, it's like you feel like she could have gotten boxed in by it, but she really like is so versatile with it where it's not like away from what like the core of the character is, but she moves in it so well, like adapts in
Yeah.
different ways. And I feel like some people are afraid to get into that kind of commitment of a character because they feel like they'll get boxed in. But again, it's like an Orange Cassidy where you can like move in it if you let yourself. Like if you like really commit to what the if you're going to talk about like movies or acting or whatever, like the psychology of what that character is, like you can find ways to like move with it or like in it or around it or whatever, like and it still be intentional and well executed. And I feel like she is like the pinnacle of that. Like
Yeah.
she's just and she's also so talented to boot, like as an
Mhm.
athlete. So it just really, she's the whole package for me. I love watching her.
Yeah. I feel like she had a huge influence on Harley Cameron's like kind of character as well. Because I
Mm.
see some of that Tony in her when she's kind of cutting promos, and her thing's obviously singing. She's got like the puppets, and but she's got great one-liners that are on
Right.
point, and kind of her energy is it kind of remind me of that. And I think she definitely drew some influence from her, but obviously made her own thing, Harley for sure. But yeah, it's been great to see for sure. the women's division is super healthy in AEW and WWE right now, which we love. And talking about match times, like that's a huge thing that would piss us off. Like we're looking at the card and like, you know, maybe one or two women's matches on it, and they're giving like 11 minutes or 7. And it's just like, what is this bullshit?
What year is
Come on,
this?
Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know. But
Yeah.
because we
yeah.
saw it was Tony versus like the Megan Bain like live, and that was just like the psychology of like her just her being Tony, like just getting her ass handed to her for like 98% of that match and just squeaking out by being like the more intelligent, like old school, like it's so good.
Yeah.
And because you're building Megan to be like this like bull of a wrestler, just like absolutely tearing through people. But
Hmm.
it's like at the end of the day, it was like Tony's just a little too smart for you, and I love that. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And just unmatched in promos right now. It's insane. I feel like she took over for MJF as
Yeah,
the
Mm,
best on the
honestly.
stick. Honestly, there's
yeah.
no one that's doing it better, and it's just always clean, doesn't mess up, and just goes on these rants and just has just amazing one-liners, and like you know where she's going, and she hits you with it, and it's just so good.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like
And
MJF is like I'm waiting for like what is the next
yeah,
iteration or the next thing, you know?
yeah,
Whereas I feel like since losing the title, it's just been kind
Yeah.
of like where are we going with this?
he's been at a standstill for sure, and like that's what I was saying on our last pod. Like, you know, the stuff with the Hurt Syndicate. It's just like I feel like they could have figured this out like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it's just still like, oh, he's gonna meet with them in the ring again. But this Wednesday on Dynamite, hopefully we get some type of answer, or Cedric
Yeah.
Alexander jumps
Yeah,
out and
Cedric. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
and sends him to Dick Kick City or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to see him wrestle.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He doesn't do it, so
yeah.
Yeah. Very true.
Let our boy cook.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. How
Do
are we
you have
feeling,
any other
guys?
questions?
No, I'm good. I've asked all the questions I have, all the
I
ones I
think I
can
did
think of.
too. Yeah.
Cool. All
All
right, you want to
right.
take us home?
Sure. This has been another edition of the New to Wrestling Podcast After Dark. Thank you so much to our incredible guests. I'm so happy that you guys were the first like podcast crossover. I'm so happy it was you guys. What a great conversation. I'm very grateful. We will be at the
I
I'm
gotcha.
sorry. Oh,
No
thank
worries.
you. Always forget the name.
Anniversary A
Horrible.
Jurassic Celebration tribute to Vince Steele. That's going to be Memorial Day weekend in Jersey at the Mecca in Ridgefield Park. That show is put on by Shadow Wrestling Alliance and Bree Combination Wrestling. If you find yourself in Jersey, Pennsylvania, the whole surrounding area, come hang out. We're sponsoring a match, so we'll be there.
Oh yeah.
And it'll be a great time, and it's for a good cause. So,
Yeah. So thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
oh wait, before we do that,
Yeah.
where can we find you all?
Oh,
Tell us
yes,
all of the things,
please. Oh my
guys.
God, duh. Please.
Yeah. You can find us basically everywhere. So YouTube, Invasion Angle and Invasion Angle Podcast. So you can get wrestling vids and Invasion Angle, and then podcast is all of our podcast stuff. Same thing with TikTok, Invasion Angle Podcast, and then of course Instagram and Spotify, Apple, and a bunch of other ones like Spreaker that I don't know anyone listens to, but hey, we're on all of them.
Yep. Run it all up. Yeah, bring your fun drinks, bring
Yeah.
like your snacks and enjoy. Invasion Angle is such a great show, and we're so happy you guys came to join us. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, we're going to have you guys on our podcast. And
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
yeah,
We would love
absolutely.
that. We would love that.
All
Yep.
right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.